Well, in our local stories this evening, a minor tremor occurs in the sea off the coasts of Beruala.
And the magnitude of the earthquake was 3.7, and the Geological Survey and the Mines Bureau has said that there is no tsunami threat from the tremor. The tremor had occurred around 1:2 p.m. today. Nearly 24 kilometers of Beruala, a tsunami condition would transpire when a tremor occurs between 6.5 and 7 magnitude of the Richter scale. Therefore, the Seismic Data and Tsunami Alert Center has said that there is a tsunami threat cannot be transpired from the tremor. The residents in Beruala town had felt the tremor which occurred this evening.
The distribution of the first consignment of eggs imported from India was commenced from the private container terminal in Muthrajwala today. Officers attached to the State Trading General Corporation were present at this occasion. Distribution of imported eggs will be prioritized among leading bakeries, hotels and hospitals in the country. The office bearers of the Bakery Owners Association were also present at the occasion. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the support of all is imperative for the nation-building process.
The president reflected on Sri Lanka's past missed opportunities following the independence and said that Sri Lanka will gain no other opportunity in future if they were missed out on the opportunity at hand. President Wickremesinghe made these remarks during his keynote address at the Economic Dialogue, IMF and beyond. Panel discussion held in Colombo this morning. The discussion was hosted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. Ministers, parliamentarians, executives of leading business in the country, chartered accountants and foreign envoys were present at this occasion.
What we have to do now is ensure that the next generation will live in a prosperous society. The start is difficult, but nevertheless we have to go along. We cannot by any means move away from it. What is our task is not merely to stabilize the economy, but to ensure growth, to grow in this new global economy and to go ahead. These are facts that we can't get away from. If we are to do this, we must remember that one of the biggest issues that held back our growth is the ethnic issue. We have to think as Sri Lankans. We cannot divorce that issue from the economic issues. There are two E's, as I can see. There are also other important objectives. It will bring about a significant revenue-based fiscal adjustment based on progressive tax reforms to raise Sri Lanka's revenue to GDP ratio. Better public expenditure and debt management through essential institutional reforms. And enhanced social safety net to cushion the poor. Restoring price stability and a market-determined flexible exchange rate and rebuilding our international reserves. Then ensuring financial stability through a healthy banking system. Now, these are some of the key objectives of this IMF reforms. Therefore, what we are seeking is to stabilize the economy by 2026. Anyway, approval of this program will allow Sri Lanka to commence negotiations with private and official creditors on restructuring its debt in line with the parameters set by the IMF Debt Sustainable Assessment and also the commitments that I have made with my letter of March 14th. We hope to conclude the discussions and arrive at a comprehensive restructuring agreement with the creditors by the time the first review under the EFF in 6 months takes place. In order to keep its part of bargain with the creditors and fully benefit from the debt restructuring, Sri Lanka will need to implement the commitment under its 4-year economic program. So we still have to start the debt restructuring, especially the discussions with our private creditors. From here, do we stop at this stage, do the debt restructuring and the 4-year program? That is not enough. If you want to give a future to your children, if you want to give a future to the youth, then we have to go forward. Because Sri Lanka is today at the crossroads between seizing the opportunity for growth to fix our long-standing institutions and structural problems to become a prosperous society, or denying our problems, rejecting change and stagnating as a lower middle income country. Implementing this program is how we seize the opportunity for a more prosperous future. We have to deliver this.
More on to the stories. The fuel price was reduced from midnight yesterday.
However, the public said that they are yet to receive the benefits from the price drop and requested the government to provide a suitable mechanism in this regard. With the fuel price decline, the bus fares expected reduced from midnight today. The bus fares on expressways have also reduced by 100 rupees from last night. All Ceylon Inter-District School Children Transport Services Association said that charges will be reduced by 8%. Three-wheeler charges have also reduced. In the meantime, steps have been taken to reduce the container transport charges by 8% from midnight today. However, public have complained that they are yet to receive the benefit from the fuel price drop. Meanwhile, Restaurant Owners Association said that prices of food products will reduce from tomorrow in an effort to pass the benefit of the fuel price reduction to consumers.
Hector Kobbakadu Agrarian Research and Training Institute indicates that the food inflation, which was at 95% in October last year, has reduced to 57% in the present. The institute presented the data based on a research conducted recently. 5 reports were unveiled at an event held with the participation of Minister Mahinda Amaravira. The event was held at the Hector Kobbakadu Agrarian Research and Training Institute. The report presented the impact on the agriculture industry due to the chemical fertilizer ban, the impact on households due to the economic crisis, as well as recommendations to prevent damages caused on crops by wild animals. The report has indicated that the food inflation in the country was at 95% from September 2021 until the end of 2022. Also, additional food consumption pertaining to households have reduced by 3.4%. The report has further indicated that the food insecurity in urban sector, rural sector and estate sector was recorded as 43%, 52% and 67% respectively. However, the survey report has revealed that the food inflation is currently at a lower level.
Minister Vijaydas Rajapaksa emphasized that the Anti-Corruption Act will be introduced with the intention to eradicate corruption from the country and not as a condition imposed by the International Monetary Fund. The minister, speaking at a media briefing held in Colombo today, said that steps will be taken to pass the draft bill of the new act expeditiously. The minister during the briefing said that Bribery Commission has not taken any positive step to prevent frauds and corruption committed by politicians and state officials as well as in the government and private sectors. The minister further said that as the functions of the commission have been unsuccessful, steps were taken to formulate a new anti-corruption draft bill based on the United Nations Anti-Corruption Resolution signed by Sri Lanka in 2004.
The activity-based oral English program was launched across the island today, and under this program, students in grade 1 and 2 will be able to learn the English language. Previously, the students in state sector received English education from grade 3 onwards. However, with the program launched today, students in all schools across the country will gain the opportunity to learn English language from grade 1 onwards. Relevant trainings have been provided for teachers to proceed with the program. The state ceremony to launch the program was held at the primary division of Samudra Devi Girls School in Nugegoda with the participation of Minister Susil Premachand.
උසස් පෙළ විද්‍යා විෂය ධාරාවෙන් තමයි 2000 පටන් ගත්තේ ඉංග්‍රීසි මාධ්‍යයෙන් උගන්වන්න. දැන් 6 ශ්‍රේණියෙන් ඉහළ පාසල් 550කට වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක ඉංග්‍රීසි මාධ්‍යයෙන් උසස් පෙළ පෙනී ඉඳලා ඒ තුන අරගෙන අද විශ්වවිද්‍යාලටත් යනවා. අන්තික ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂාව වැදගත් වෙනවා ලෝකයේ ඉස්සරහට යන්න. ඒ අවශ්‍ය කරන්නා වූ මූලික වැඩපිළිවෙල අපි පළවෙනි දවසේ ඉඳලා පාසලේ පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ. පාසලට ආපු දවස් ගුරු මහත්මීන් 13800ක් අපි පුහුණු කළා.
The inauguration ceremony of the Samarakamur province was held at the Ahaliagoda Junior School with the participation of Governor Tikiti Kobbakadu. A total of 1,344 teachers in junior schools have been trained for this program. The inauguration ceremony of the North Central Province was held at the President's Junior School in Polonnaruwa with the participation of Chief Secretary of the province CJMG Chandrasiri Bandara.
The report on Sri Lanka, compiled by Pathfinder Foundation, was unveiled in Colombo yesterday. Minister Ali Sabri was present at this occasion. High Commissioner of India Gopal Bagley and Ambassador of Japan in Colombo, Mizukoshi Hidaki also graced the occasion. The Pathfinder Foundation is an independent organization which takes recommendations. Accordingly, the report is on long and medium-term strategies for Indo-Japanese collaboration to support economic transformation in Sri Lanka.
I appreciate the great work put forward by Pathfinder Foundation in launching this medium and long-term strategy for Indo-Japanese collaboration to support the economic transformation in Sri Lanka. It's also important that how important these kind of inputs from the intellectuals and experts in the different fields are important for country to strategize its economic and other focus, whether it is economic, defense, regional cooperation, foreign, or any matter. Now, I honestly believe this is the turn for South Asia. India is leading that massive growth. Changes are taking place. If we are not intelligent enough to understand that and make use of this opportunity for everybody's benefit, I think we are missing a massive opportunity. In that context, it is important that we need to continue to look at this for benefit of both countries, mutual interest for the whole region. Japan had been a long-standing friend of Sri Lanka for a long period of time. Ever since the country was opened up in 1977, one of the first country to come, invest large scale and help us in infrastructure projects. So this will be a catalyst for our development agencies to have a look at it and probably make use of this opportunity to go for sustainable development. Very important. We should understand what are our priorities, how the finance is going to be.
In terms of foreign policy, I would like to specifically mention that Sri Lanka occupies a unique place in India's foreign policy. Sri Lanka can indeed be a source of export of surplus power produced by using renewable energy sources. Whether the power evacuation by a power grid connectivity or through green hydrogen or ammonia, there are a number of options available. I am sure technology has evolved, will continue to evolve, and even these newer options, fresh options will continue to come up, and we will strive to incorporate them in our close cooperation in the field of energy. Development of Trincomalee as a harbor, as an industrial zone, as an energy hub is something which we are happy to take forward with cooperation of the government of Sri Lanka. In terms of logistics and people-to-people relations, of course, Sri Lanka's place as a logistical hub is well known. We are happy that India is partnering in development of some of the latest initiative in that regard. As far as people-to-people relations are concerned, they are the backbone of this civilizational relationship. And tourism is one such area. In fact, our people have been visiting each other for millennia. And this is how we see this great support that our efforts receive from the people in both the countries in terms of developing this relationship and widening our cooperation. Education is something which is very important because transformations which are taking place in the field of science and technology, management, other professions are key to the success of our youth and by implication success of our countries in the future. Government of India has come out with an initiative, encourage participation by Indian institutes of higher education with their Sri Lankan counterparts.
Over the years, Japan and India have had a positive impact on this region. I believe that connectivity is the best area to showcase how two countries can bring tangible benefits to the entire region, including Sri Lanka. To this end, perspectives and insights from countries in the region are critical, and this report precisely addresses that. During Prime Minister Kishida's recent visit to India this month, the two leaders exchanged views on cooperation with Sri Lanka and agreed to work closely together, including on Sri Lanka's debt issue. As for the debt issue, on 20th March, the IMF Executive Board green-lighted the extended fund facility to Sri Lanka. Japan highly values this as a significant step forward for the revitalization of Sri Lankan economy. Japan also appreciates India's letter of financial assurance in January. I am confident that Japan and India will continue to contribute to Sri Lanka's economic development, utilizing our expertise and complementarity. I sincerely hope that this year will be the beginning of an economic revival and a springboard for further development for Sri Lanka. I believe that Sri Lanka could greatly benefit from India, which is a regional economic power with a large market, and also Japan, a long-standing partner in Sri Lanka's socio-economic development, for its medium to long-term economic development.
Miss Claire 2023 Industry Connect Collaborative and Innovative Workshop was held in Colombo today. The workshop was organized by the Faculty of Engineering of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. The aim of this workshop is to improve the collaboration between the engineering faculty of the Sri Jayawardhanapura University and the Ministry of Industries. Chief guest of this event was Minister Dr. Ramesh Pathurana, Dean of the Engineering Faculty Dr. Tilagasiri Bandara, and Vice Chancellor Professor Upul Subhasinghe were also present at this occasion.
Sri Lankan people, industrial sector, and everyone all together were going through enormous hardships. Firstly, because of the economic calamity. Secondly, during last 2 years, our country and the whole world was enveloped in this corona pandemic. Our economic activity came down. Our export income went up to $13 billion US. That was the highest ever recorded income in 2023. So the turbulent times of the economy, the troublesome times have shown us certain directions to march forward. Like the silver lining of the dark cloud, Sri Lankan manufacturers had come forward to assemble cars in Sri Lanka during last 2 years because we did not import cars from the other countries. So 10 manufacturers assemble cars in Sri Lanka now. More importantly, some of them are connected to the global value chain. So we had seen that development gradually taking place. But importantly, we must ensure that we develop a ring fencing mechanism to ensure these industries are protected. So we know that IMF is putting forward certain conditions. You have to remove your import restrictions gradually. You have to connect with the World Trade Organization, some of the parameters they provide. But it is important that we provide some assistance, safety mechanism to Sri Lankan industry.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena requested state workers to refrain from implementing wrong decisions in a longer period and utilize that time for the betterment of the country. The Prime Minister pointed out that the entire world has been hampered by an economic recession. The Prime Minister made these remarks while taking part in the Kurunegala District Progress Review meeting of the New Village, New Country National Integration Programme initiated to empower rural economic revival centres. The 3-year National Integration Development Programme, which amalgamate all development programmes initiated by the government with the support of all stakeholders, was implemented in the year 2023.
The fourth round of negotiations on the proposed Sri Lanka-Thailand Free Trade Agreement was concluded yesterday. This initiative aligns with President Ranil Wickremesinghe's vision of enhancing economic relations with large and emerging economies with a particular focus on Asian countries. A 35-member Thai delegation led by Director General of the Department of Trade Negotiations Aramun Saputevetum arrived in Sri Lanka for the third round of talks early this week. Along with their focus on trade negotiations, the delegation also strengthened the long-standing religious and cultural ties between the two countries by offering over 500 alms bowls to the Gangarama temple on the same day. The National Trade Negotiations team representing Sri Lanka at the talks was led by Chief Negotiator of the Presidential Secretariat K. J. Veerasinghe. During the third round of negotiations in January, discussions on the proposed Sri Lanka-Thailand Free Trade Agreement focused on areas such as trade in goods, trade in services, investment, rules of origin, custom cooperation, trade facilitation and economic cooperation. The fourth round of talks would build on principles already agreed upon and delve deeper into the areas. Additionally, discussions will be held on trade remedies, technical barriers to trade and legal matters.
High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to India, Milinda Murugoda, met with the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Shaktikanta Das, yesterday. The meeting was held at the bank's headquarters in Mumbai. The Sri Lankan High Commissioner, who is on an official visit to the state of Maharashtra, has discussed a range of issues pertaining to the bilateral economic cooperation with the Governor of Reserve Bank of India. High Commissioner Murugoda thanked Governor Das for the support that India has been extending to Sri Lanka in the context of economic stabilization, particularly the currency swap arrangements and deferment of payments that materialized with the direct involvement of the Reserve Bank of India. He also thanked India for the leadership it took towards the realization of the International Monetary Fund's extended fund facility for Sri Lanka. The RBI Governor and the High Commissioner discussed economic recovery in Sri Lanka and the pivotal role that India could play it through greater integration of the economies in areas such as power, energy, ports, infrastructure and tourism and IT services. The ways and means to enhance bilateral trade, particularly through Indian rupee trade expansion as a key pillar of economic revival in Sri Lanka, were discussed as well.
The Supreme Court has fixed the consideration of two petitions filed against Finance Ministry Secretary Mahinda Sirivardhana on the May 22nd. The petitions were called before a 5-member Supreme Court bench chaired by Chief Justice Jayanta Jayasuriya. The Attorney General representing the submissions requested for additional time to prepare the documents pertaining to the case. Permitting the request, the Supreme Court bench fixed the consideration of the petitions on the May 22nd. The relevant petitions were filed by Samagi Janabalawege General Secretary Ranjit Madhuma Bandara and National People's Power MP Vijita Hera. An interim order was issued to the Finance Ministry Secretary on the 3rd of March by the Supreme Court preventing from withholding the 2023 budgetary allocations from the local government elections. The petition have been filed claiming the Finance Secretary has failed to comply with the interim order. Supreme Court has informed the Attorney General to submit the content documents pertaining to the decision taken by former President Maithripala Sirisena to grant presidential pardon for a youth, Jude Jamaha, who was sentenced to death over the Royal Park murder incident. The Supreme Court bench issued the relevant order after considering a fundamental rights petition filed by women's media organizations collective requesting to revoke the presidential pardon granted to the convict. The case was postponed until the 9th of June.
Well, now let's take a look at several local news items in brief. State Minister Shehan Semasinghe has been selected as a Vice President to the 10th Asia-Pacific Forum for Sustainable Development scheduled to take place in Bangkok, Thailand. Saira New Educational Centre equipped with modern facilities was declared open today with the participation of Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva. The new educational training centre will be utilised for the new courses and trainings of the Mahapula Port and Maritime Academy of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. A protest organised by Janata Vimukti Peramuna was held near the new bus station in Anuradhapura today. The protest was organised demanding solutions for many issues, including rising cost of living and fuel price hike. Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment has indicated that a decision has been reached to suspend the admission of migrant female workers who have expatriated without registering with the Bureau to the Suraksha safe houses and embassies from 1st April.
The remains of late former Speaker of Parliament and Cabinet Minister Joseph Michael Pereira was brought to the Parliament complex today. The remains were kept at the Parliamentary complex for nearly an hour to pay last respects. The final rites will be held on Sunday from 4 p.m. onwards at the Kannur Cemetery in Jayala. Late Joseph Michael Pereira served as the 17th Speaker of the Parliament. The hearse carrying Joseph Michael Pereira's remains was escorted to the Parliament complex. The President, Speaker and other MPs accompanied the late Speaker's coffin on a red carpet to a special ceremony hall. President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene paid their last respects to the former Speaker by placing flower bouquets on the coffin. Afterwards, former speakers, opposition leader, ministers, General Secretary of the Parliament, Sergeant-at-Arms, ambassadors and the entire staff of Parliament also paid their respects to the late speaker. Former speaker, late Joseph Michael Pereira, entered the Jail Urban Council in the year 1964 and assumed various ministerial portfolios including Home Affairs, Labour and Fisheries.
The remains of late veteran musician Sangeet Nipun Professor Sanat Nandasiri are kept at his residence. The final rites will be held on Saturday from 5 p.m. onward at Burala Public Cemetery. Many crowds, including politicians and artists, paid their last respects to the late Professor Sanat Nandasiri. The remains are kept at his residence in number 10B First Lane, Old Kottawa Road, Ambuldeniya, Nugegoda. The remains will be kept at the residence until Saturday. On Saturday, the funeral procession will arrive at the Aesthetic University in Colombo at 9 a.m. and the remains will be kept at the university from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Subsequently, the coffin will be taken to Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and the public will be allowed to pay their last respects between 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Well, with that, stay tuned for foreign news coming up next.
Big match fun, Prima Kottumi Tiyanaka.
Welcome back with international news. And Pope Francis has a respiratory infection and will need to spend a few days in hospital in Rome.
The 86-year-old pontiff was taken to Rome's hospital after complaining of the breathing difficulties over the past few days. Tests showed he had the infection but did not have COVID-19. His closest staff, including security, are expected to stay the night at the hospital. Francis, who this month marked 10 years as Pope, is sometimes short of breath and generally more exposed to respiratory problems. He had part of one lung removed in his early 20s when training to be a priest in his native Argentina. His latest hospitalization comes ahead of a Palm Sunday service on April 2nd that marks the start of a hectic week of ceremonies leading to Easter Sunday on April 9th, throwing into doubt whether he would be able to lead them as a customary.
මෙහෙම දිනන්න මෙහෙම වන්න Big match fun, Prima Kottumi Tiyanaka.
Welcome back with your sports update. Minister Roshan Ranasinghe has written to the International Cricket Council requesting an official meeting to discuss over the Sri Lanka cricket. The minister in his letter has indicated that he expects to carry a necessary environment to ensure the independence of Sri Lanka through this discussion.
The minister has written to the ICC pertaining to recent social media and local newspaper reports claiming that a committee has been appointed to investigate Sri Lanka cricket. The minister in his letter has indicated that if the ICC has appointed a 3-member committee, then he is eagerly waiting for a discussion with the facts in his possession. In the letter, the minister assured that he shares the same ideals as the ICC on the fact that the Sri Lanka cricket should remain independent. He also said that the other registered national sports bodies should be devoid of political interference. The minister has further said that a meeting between the Ministry of Sports and the ICC is a timely requirement to share facts over the alleged interferences on the functioning of Sri Lanka cricket. The third one-day international match between Sri Lanka and New Zealand is scheduled to be held tomorrow. The touring Sri Lanka lost the Test series 2-0. Sri Lanka suffered a massive loss against New Zealand in their first one-day international, while the second match was abandoned due to rain interruptions.